Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. I am Chairman Laura Belsky. For roll call, we have myself, Supervisor Franco, Supervisor Garcia, Supervisor Brookhouse, Supervisor Morrissey, Supervisor Caro, and Gray are not in attendance. That we did not receive that they were not going to be here. We also have Sasha and Dylan with us. Before I get started with citizens' comments, I want to remind everyone to please be respectful of everyone's opinions. When someone is speaking, please allow them to speak and refrain from commentary. Also, we have an OWL system that does our video streaming, and if you fidget or move or make a bang, it's gonna show up on you, so you'll be in the video. So if that's your choice, feel free. We'll start with citizen comments, and it's for 5 minutes. Supervisor Caro is here. And we'll start with citizens comments, and you have 5 minutes to speak. And we ask that you come and sit at the head of the table.
Oh. All right.
Start by stating your name and your address.
Sure. Kevin Mathewson, 620 56th Street. I just wanted to touch, I don't like when I see something that is said or repeated that's false. So I always like to correct the record. Last meeting here, there was a judge that came and kind of vented to this committee, but most, if not everything of what he said was a lie, just completely false. And I have the correct information here that I wanted to share with this committee. So one thing Judge Kirkman said was that the DA's office has 3 or 4 DAs left, ADAs, Assistant District Attorney. He actually had made a public records request a few days before asking how many were left, and he was told 18. So he found out there was 18. He came here and said, told you all that there was 3 or 4 left. Not a mistake. That's not an accident. That was a lie. He lied to you. And then he said that, and I have a copy of those public records requests. Anybody here wants to see them, let me know. He said something about the DA didn't show up to a restitution hearing, therefore a woman wasn't able to get restitution. Well, that sounds bad until you look up the statute and you look up the case notes, which I did. With stat 973.20 sub 14 sub A states that the DA does not need to reappear unless he's ordered to or unless it's during sentencing. And the actual victim did not show up to that case. So the victim could not present evidence. The victim was not going to get restitution whether there was a DA there or not. So this implication that the DA's office wasn't there, so this poor person didn't get restitution, is absolutely false. So a sitting judge came to this committee and lied to everybody. I just want you to keep that in the back of your mind. It kind of seemed like a premeditated thing where he was kind of allowed to speak just at the end of the meeting, just randomly, without it being agendized or anything. I mean, he could have spoken like I'm speaking, like anybody can, but he kind of was allowed to speak at the end, and it seemed kind of scripted where, oh, how are the judges doing? Oh, by the way, the DA's office sucks, and these are all. I've personally reported and read about a lot of really serious convictions that our DA's office has gotten in the last several months, from child predators to people shooting up buildings to serious felony thefts, robberies, burglaries. I think from what I've seen that the DA's office is doing a good job. When you take the oath of office and more than half of your staff has already resigned just because they don't like your what side of the aisle you're on, it's kind of hard to start that way. So shouldn't be a left or a right thing. It should just be, we should all want the DA's office to succeed, whether we're Republican or Democrat, because at the end of the day, we all live in Kenosha County. So resist the urge to listen to a judge that would lie in public to this body, and research for yourself. If you want copies of any of those documents, I'll be happy to provide them to anybody here. Thank you.
Thank you. Citizens' comments. Do we have other citizens' comments? Anyone wishing to speak? Sir, state your name and your address, please.
Jacob Castillo, 152 113th Street. My name is Jacob Castillo. I served with the Kenosha County Sheriff's Office for the past 14 years and 18 years total in law enforcement across Wisconsin. I also serve as Vice President of the Kenosha County Deputy Sheriff's Association. On behalf of the association, we want to thank you for the opportunity to address you guys here. We have a tentative agreement that you guys are going to be presented later today by Human Resources. We believe that it is not only a benefit to our current members, but also is going to help us recruit, retain high quality deputies in the community that we serve. One question raised during negotiations was a decrease in calls for service, about 5,000 fewer calls in 2024 than there were in 2023. At first glance, that sounds concerning, but when you break it down, those reductions came mostly entirely from lower priority category calls like inmate transports, accidental 911 calls, and non-critical medical calls. Things that deputies don't always need to be dispatched to. What is important is the enforcement. The numbers tell the real story. Felony and misdemeanors arrests have gone up in recent years, not down. Our deputies are working harder and focusing on serious crimes that keep our community safe. This contract recognizes that work. It's going to include a 12.5% raise, something that isn't a luxury, but a necessity. With inflation rising, house rent, everything skyrocketing, childcare costs, this raise is simply to help deputies keep up with the cost of living. The agreement also improves conditions for new hires, with better pay starting and more flexibility to use their earned vacation time. These changes will reduce the burnout, help us recruit effectively at a time when the applicant pool is smaller than ever. The truth is, we're no longer just comparing ourselves to our neighboring agencies. We're competing with them. Agencies like Pleasant Prairie and the city of Kenosha already pay more, and others in Lake County make well over $100,000 doing dispatching, which is a far less risk. If we want to attract and keep good deputies, we have to remain competitive in this market. In closing, this contract's fair, it's forward-looking, and necessary. It strengthens recruitment and retention for Kenosha County. It keeps pace with the cost of living and ensures Kenosha County has a strong and professional sheriff's office for years to come. On behalf of the association, I respectfully thank you guys and ask for your support of this.
Thank you. Are there other citizens' comments? Any citizens wishing to speak? Please step forward. State your name and address for the record.
Sure. Brian Gonzalez, 6547 7th Avenue. I come here as a citizen and a retired law enforcement officer. I'm also on the board of the Republican Party. I just wanted to come here because of, as Mr. Mathewson had mentioned, it was unfair of a judge to interfere, I thought, in the goings on in the DA's office. I think the separation of powers in the Constitution speaks for itself. I do not believe a judge should be able to try to influence a decision made by this board or any board, stick to judging and, you know, sentencing people. That's the way I see it. I thought it was very unfair to attack Mr. Solis in such a way. I think separation of powers, as I said before, is a important deal for us as citizens. Also, I would like to say that I believe that Mr. Solis is doing a good job for law enforcement as well as for this county. I do believe that he deserves our support as citizens. He had been voted in a very tough situation, and he's coming into a tough situation. And it seems to me that being held accountable by a judge doesn't seem to be fair. And I believe that this board should take into consideration the fact that Mr. Solis could use the support from this committee going forward. Also, since I have heard about the deputies' contract they have coming up as prior law enforcement, yeah, couldn't have been better. Well said by Deputy Castillo. The boys need, and we need to have good officers. And I believe it's very important that this board takes that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. State your name and address, please.
Absolutely. My name's Douglas Haney, and my address is 7733 36th Avenue in Kenosha. I've been an attorney for 44 years, including stints as a special assistant United States attorney, as chief trial counsel at Fort Belvoir, Virginia, and for a time as ADA here in Kenosha. I have not seen a better district attorney in the sense of priorities, in the sense of environment in the office. I realize there have been some shuffling of personnel, which is, I ran a law office for 22 years, and it happens, especially in areas where litigators, young litigators get experience, and then because certainly the private sector pays 2 or 3 times what the public sector pays as far as income, they leave. You know, can't knock them for that. There are some true believers that don't leave, but some do. I just went for someone who is at the other end of his legal career and has been all around this country practicing law. I couldn't really give a stronger support for what DA Solis is trying to do, especially as a citizen. A crackdown on retail theft and the emphasis on not pleading down at least significantly. Obviously, every case, it depends on its own facts and circumstances. Suspects who flee from our officers, which causes all kinds of danger when that happens, not only to other officers, but also to members of the general public. So again, I'm not here as a cheerleader. I'm here as someone who has shoes older than most of the people in this room and have had over 4 decades of experience in law enforcement, including litigation at both the federal and the state level. And I find it, I have to be careful too ethically in what I say, but I find it incredibly disturbing to have one member of the judiciary who doesn't speak for anyone but himself make comments like that, which frankly do not match the facts as I have seen them in many respects. Especially since the DA is an elected official. And I guess I would just close with, my first thought was, how dare you? And that's where I'll leave it.
Thank you. Are there any other citizens wishing to speak? Are there any other citizens wishing to speak? If not, citizens' comments are closed. Are there any supervisor comments that anyone would like to make at this time? No? Okay, chairman comments. I want to remind everyone that the budget review meeting is Wednesday, October 15th at 6 p.m. I will be providing food and refreshments for members and presenters. Other than that, I would move on to approval of minutes from September.
So moved. I'll second.
Second, youth and governance, how do you vote? Aye. Committee?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Next up would be DA Solis. Sir, if you could please have a seat at the table. I just want to say thank you very much for coming this evening. As I would do with any other department head, I make them aware of my expectations for what I would like presented in the meetings, whether that's the sheriff's office and other reports, whomever it may be. So I did provide some questions to DA Solis, and I will be going through those questions, and then he can present. I know he's feeling a little bit under the weather, so I hope that this isn't too much for you.
No, it's not. It's actually fun, so I'm here. Thanks for having me, by the way.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. My first question with regard to crime trends, what are the top crime trends you're seeing in Kenosha County right now, and how is your office prioritizing them
When you say right now, you mean like within the last couple months or since I came into office?
since you came into office?
Since I came into office, obviously we see the normal domestic abuse cases. Those are ongoing, such as disorderly conduct, domestic abuse. Those are stuff that goes within the house. Seeing fleeing and looting cases. I mean, obviously, since we're here in Kenosha County, recently haven't been seeing as much as we did over maybe in the spring or the summer. I know there was a recent one a couple weeks ago that happened here in the city. I believe that was the last one. Might have been another one. Possession of controlled substance is another one that we see. Some of them are individuals who get pulled over out in the interstate and they have controlled substance on them. Other ones are individuals who are dealing in our community. So we see those. We will see a lot of the organized retail theft, but that has come down a lot. So we don't see that as much recently. Within the last month, we've probably seen a lot of like DV cases and some theft cases. It's basically what I've been seeing.
Okay. And then how is your office managing the current case backlog, and how does it compare to pre-pandemic levels, if you're aware of what those levels were?
So I had cases from like 2019 and majority of the serious cases that I have right now, the homicides are from like 2021, 2022, 2023,
Prior to you then
2024,
becoming elected?
prior to me coming in. So these individuals, whatever case it is, the cases just kept getting pushed back. So currently I have about maybe 3 or 4 cases that are scheduled for jury trial, which are homicide cases that happened probably 2 or 3 years ago. And then I also have cases from 2019, 2020, 2021, which are like, I don't want to say petty, but they're criminal misdemeanor cases where they could have been easily dissolved of. We're trying to get rid of those cases, at least trying to resolve them appropriately. If not, we could at least then move them towards jury trial. But our focus and our priority is violent crime and crimes against children. So that's where we're trying to make our priorities, especially with the backlog of the cases.
Okay, thank you. And then how do you decide when to pursue diversion programs versus full prosecution?
So diversion programs is something that I'm trying to fully implement. I know Kenosha County now has gone through the whole, I believe it might have already kicked off with the BBJ grant or funding. So I've been seeing more of those assessments come in through. When I look at diversion programs, more offenders who are first-time offenders, I want to work on something where I could do something for veterans, some discipline cases. So I want to look at certain diversion courts, or not diversion court, but diversion programs coming from my office. As to the deferred prosecution agreements, there's some cases that are stronger than others or weaker than others, and sometimes we resolve them with a DPA, which is deferred prosecution agreement. Or if it's a misdemeanor, but we know that probation doesn't provide the services that they could get in a DPA. Sometimes it's better for them to get a DPA to get the services through there instead of them going through probation. A lot of those would be like possession of certain controlled substance or something, not THC, but like narcotic drugs, I guess that's another way to say it.
Okay. And then once I'm done with my questions, I'll open it up to the rest of the committee. So I'm sorry I'm hogging some time here. What steps are being taken to ensure fairness and equity in charging decisions across the county?
Just basically following the law and using our discretion, based on our ethics. So, I mean, those are the steps that we're taking to make sure that, we charge everyone fairly and equally.
Okay. And then how is your office working to rebuild and strengthen public trust in the justice system following recent high-profile cases?
So, what recent profile cases are you referring to?
Any homicide cases?
Transparency is one of the biggest ones that I try to focus on. I know I get open records requests from local news agencies, and if it's a document that I could turn over to them and we're required to turn over to them, I try to turn over to them as quickly as possible as I can.
Mhm.
I also believe that the media should have access to see what happens in our courtrooms to make sure that the people know that this individual has been arrested and charged for this type of crime and this is what happened. The judge gave this individual a appropriate sentence, or the DA's office messed up and they should have done something harder. And if that's the case, and it's something that will be on me, or if the judge doesn't do the job that they're supposed to do, then that's on the judge. But I think the people should at least know what's going on inside the courtroom. So I can't control what goes inside the courtroom or what access the media has. However, as far as my office, I've always been transparent with the media, even to individuals like WGTD. I always send them information, but I tell them make sure that you report the news correctly. Same thing with Kenosha News. They always ask me for a comment. I'll give you a comment if you do it correctly. Do not mislead the public. I try to do press releases if I have the time and energy to do the press releases, then I'll do press releases and try to inform the community of what's going on with some of the cases.
Thank you. Are current victim witness services adequately staffed and funded, or do you see critical gaps since we have budget hearings coming up?
We could use another victim witness individual. That would be very helpful to our victims, especially since we are pretty backlogged with cases. We do have some cases that are serious, such as a homicide, and we do still have some sexual assaults that are still pending. So a victim witness coordinator or not coordinator, a victim witness specialist would be very helpful for us if we were to have another one, because that would also allow us to provide more services to victims and witnesses.
Is that something that you put into the budget for next year?
That is something that we requested, yes.
Okay. All right, so then we'll be reviewing that on October 15th. And then how is your office collaborating with local law enforcement, giving staffing and resource challenges?
We try to be open with law enforcement. I know they call sometimes during the day asking for an ADA to speak to, and I try to at least, or someone in the office at least will try to speak with the ADA. I try to make sure that ADAs are able to meet with law enforcement officers, and hopefully then we can get their questions answered. I know I met with other law enforcement officers with certain cases. I don't want to comment much because I know the cases are still pending, but in the news within the last week, there have been about 8 individuals who were currently arrested. They were all connected to a Mexican cartel living right here in the middle of Kenosha County, or in the city of Kenosha. It was a big effort of law enforcement agencies here in Kenosha County Sheriff's Office, Pleasant Prairie, HSI, Homeland Security. So they were able to do a good job to get those individuals in custody and for us to file charges and the proper charges. So that's just one example of what our office is trying to do with that issue. I don't want to name the officers who were involved in it because due to the fact that those individuals are connected to a certain cartel, But those officers, if they say I can name them, I will name them
Mhm.
because I think they did a great job on that case. So
But you want to protect them. too.
I want to
Yeah.
protect them too,
Yeah.
correct? So.
Wonderful. And then what partnerships, I only have 3 more questions. What partnerships with health providers, social services, or nonprofits are proving most effective in addressing root causes of crime? Is there anybody that you're working with within the county organizations or nonprofits outside of?
So you guys are the Kenosha County Board Office and you guys are the J-Law Committee. One thing you guys need to look into is to see if you can do something with individuals who have mental health issues.
Okay.
The reason I say that is because there's individuals who are out in the public. They're not necessarily being violent. They're somewhat being a nuisance. They get arrested, get charged with disorderly conduct. 90 days. These individuals have mental health issues. Sitting in jail for 90 days is not gonna help them. If we ask for a competency evaluation, that's not gonna go anywhere because they only have a 90-day period to try to bring them back into competency. They won't do a chapter 51 because they're not gonna voluntarily and say, I'm gonna do a chapter 51. They're also don't have much family either. So if you as a county board, and this is me as a county resident and a citizen of Kenosha County, telling you guys to look into something, is to do something with individuals such as that and with some type of mental health, programs for them.
Have you talked with Director Foss at all, Carrie Foss?
I sat down and spoken with them, and see if we could come up with something, but my office can only go so far. They need,
Sure.
there has to be other stuff out there for that.
Well,
Right.
I'll make sure that I follow up with that, then I thank you. And then I'll work with, Vice Chair, Franco, since he chairs the Human Services Committee. So thank you for that. What legislative or policy changes at the state level would most improve safety and prosecution effectiveness in Kenosha County?
On some cases, stronger statutes, especially when it comes to like organized crime. With organized crime, I have to get authority or permission from the Attorney General. And every time I ask them to allow me to charge like racketeering, they always decline it. So stronger statutes with organized crime, especially with organized crimes involving transnational gangs. Mandatory minimums for certain crimes, especially crimes against children. There are some statutes that are minimums against crimes against children, but I think other crimes should have mandatory minimums, such as certain sexual assaults against children, I think should have a mandatory minimum. Mandatory minimums for certain individuals who commit certain crimes that are considered as repeat offenders. There is a statute where a serious felony does count as a repeat offender, and you do have a mandatory minimum. However, only certain crimes fit within that statute.
Mhm.
And again, I'm the executive, they're the legislative, so I'm not gonna try to step into their role. I respect the separations of power. Passing a grooming statute, or making a statute that if you're a teacher or some type of employee at the schools, and regardless what school you work to, and there currently is one, but I think it needs to be a lot stronger.
Mhm.
It has to have more teeth to it, and it has to be a little bit more clear than what is currently on the books. Currently, the statute indicates that if he is a teacher at the school, so it's not clear if it's at that school or if it's at a different school. So the example I'm trying to make is that if we have a teacher at Bradford or Indian Trail, let's say we have a teacher at Indian Trail who is trying to groom a 13-year-old student, and all of a sudden that individual then goes and works for Tremper. Next thing you know, then the grooming now continues, but
So he's still, though, he's still within the unified system.
the statute indicates at the school. So
Oh, at the
there needs to be a little bit clearer language in the legislative. But I think the legislative should work that out, and I think the intent of legislative means that it would have to be a school. And I think that statute is only a class I felony, which is 3.5 years in prison, 18 months initial confinement. I think it needs to be a little bit higher,
Mhm.
and I think there has to be mandatory minimums on that. Meaning if you're convicted, you should at least face whatever the mandatory minimum the legislator establishes, meaning it takes away probation away from the judges.
Mhm.
Another one, fleeing and eluding cases, in Kenosha County, obviously, they try to get to cross the border to Illinois, and once they're there, they're gone. I know the legislator recently amended it from a class I to a class H. So now it's 6 years in prison, but I think there should be a mandatory minimum on that, or at least if you're a repeater, they should at least have a stronger penalty if you're a repeater of fleeing and eluding.
A lot of times they just let them cross the state line too.
No, they don't let them cross the state line. I'm talking more like in the court system.
Gotcha, okay.
Our law enforcement does a pretty good job of finding out who the individuals are and who's behind the wheel on those. So it's more being inside the courtroom, and our judges are pretty good with fleeing and eluding cases.
Okay. And then, looking ahead, what are your top 3 priorities for the district attorney's office over the next 2 to 3 years?
Number one priority is keep our focus on violent crime, especially gun violent crimes and crimes against children. So our number one focus would be focusing on violent crime. Number 2 is I want to ensure that Kenosha County does not become a sanctuary city or a sanctuary county. I want to ensure that we don't turn like Chicago or other cities or counties. Make sure that if illegal aliens come here to commit crimes, that we hold them accountable and that we cooperate with federal authorities and make sure that we protect our county from becoming like Chicago. And transparency and trust. I want to keep the public informed. I want to make sure that we gain trust back in the DA's office. Make sure that the public's not misled. So when you mislead the public, that's not correct. I mean, that's not right. I don't like when you mislead the public.
You're not saying me specifically.
No, I'm not saying you specifically. That's just me venting, Laura.
Okay.
I just, I don't think the public should be misled, especially from the district attorney's office or from anything that concerns with public safety. So that's my top 3 priorities as in the next 2 or 3 years.
I really appreciate you being willing to answer all my questions in this format. I know that there's been a lot of discussion around how you're doing and staffing levels. And I wanted to ask these questions so that people understood that being DA of Kenosha County is a very complex job. And it's not something that you're going to walk in and get immediately. There's changes, I'm sure that, like you said, you wanted to make. There's improvements, and that takes time. And I appreciate the format to answer the questions. I would say that when you come back in February, we'll talk a little bit more about budget, and hopefully we approve the budget that you're bringing forward to us. So thank you again. This time I'll open it up to the rest of the committee. Does anybody have any questions or comments for DA Solis? Yes.
So the majority of your office is funded out of the state, correct?
The prosecutors are.
Right, so are you working with the state to try and get that up? Again, I don't know, from years, they're normally very low paid. So is there a push, not just from your office, but DAs across the state to get that pay raised? Again, I don't know if public defenders are making more than your prosecutor, probably.
Well, public defenders and prosecutors start at the same amount, so they start around 78,000. So it's a pay progression, so it increases every year. The biggest challenge though is the fact that you have someone that comes straight out of law school, they'll work there for maybe 2 or 3 years, and then they'll go and work somewhere else, so private practice, and they'll make probably twice as much as money as the 78,000. With the state pays the prosecutors. The county funds everything else, legal staff, paralegals, victim witness, anything else that's all funded by the county, and that's all by state statute. What kind of hurts me though is that, I have friends in private practice who probably would like to be prosecutors, but first thing they tell me is that you can't afford me, which I can't, because they're probably making 3 times as much as what they're gonna make as a prosecutor. And they're probably working like 10 times less than what they're doing now. So that's one of the biggest challenges that I have recruiting, like individuals that are experienced, but as working with the state, there are merit raises every year. And every year there's also progression pay. This year, a lot of prosecution office got free spots, or not free spots. They had more positions. So that's something that the DA's Association was able to do. Something I can't take credit for because I wasn't around, but they were able to get more positions for other prosecutions. One that's very well engaged is Eric Toney out of Fond du Lac. He's very well informed of always fighting for district attorneys in around the state. So so there's a pretty good group that does that, and I'm learning that on the side. So hopefully a year from now I'll be more informed of the state issue. So my focus has been here, but I'll be more informed.
You've mentioned at least 2 or 3 times there's a backlog of caseloads from 2019. I think was the earliest. Why is there such a backlog in the DA's office?
You know, you guys should have asked my predecessor this question about 2-3 years ago, but you guys never did. One is COVID. COVID backlogged a lot of cases. The courts shut down. A lot of cases got backlogged. A lot of individuals are sitting in custody waiting for attorneys. There's individuals who have been sitting for a year that they don't have an attorney, and it's their right to have an attorney. So if an individual says, I want a lawyer, the public defender's office, for whatever reason, can't take that defendant's case. And then they have to look for someone else to take the case, which is difficult. A lot of the individuals that are sitting without an attorney are, some are serious cases such as homicides or sexual assaults. Some are shooting cases that are sitting without an attorney, and sometimes they take a while. You have individuals who had an attorney, and for whatever reason, they fired that attorney. Now they're trying to find another attorney, which takes time. So that's another reason that there's a backlog of cases. As far as when I came in January 6th, we've been trying to clear out a lot of the backlog cases. Homicides coming up that are been pending for a while. So hopefully we can finally resolve those cases.
Anything further? Any other questions from the committee? Yes, Vice Chair Franco.
Thank you, Madam Chair. DA Solis, just wanted to get straight, because numbers have been, I hear numbers on either side of this, in particular in regard to how many ADAs are in the DA's office. According to the website that I looked at this morning, I counted 12 ADAs, including the deputy DA. So let me just go through the list.
Does that
here.
include me?
No, doesn't. So, okay,
So 13?
13, yeah.
Okay.
And you just tell me, who I'm missing.
Okay.
If 18 is the number, is that the number that you say are in your office?
Read the list and I'll let you know.
Okay, fair enough. James Allen,
He's there.
okay. Vladislav
He's there.
Billy, Jeffrey Kroll,
He's there.
Patrick Gould,
He's there.
Douglas Haney.
He's not there. He's
Oh.
behind you, by the way.
I know, I thought it sounded familiar. So you're no longer there, huh? Okay. All right. Noah
She's
Jaruzelski,
there.
Jacqueline Karabetsos,
She's there. She is a diversion prosecutor, so she is the county funded prosecutor, but she is there.
okay.
So make sure just your numbers are correct. So she's
Okay.
part-time, but she does all the diversion.
All right, well, we'll count her then. Sarah Norkus,
She's there.
Erica Renke,
She's there.
Patricia Riley,
She's there.
Tony Young.
She's there.
Okay, and that's all I have. So that means that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's 12, including the deputy DA and you. So if 18 is the number, I know on good, information that 18 was the number in January prior to you coming into the DA's office.
No, it was not 18.
I was told it was on good evidence that it was 18.
So whoever told you was wrong. It wasn't 18 when I came in January.
Well, let's put it this way.
When I
Prior to
came
you
on,
coming in,
when I came in January 6th, it was not 18.
how many were there?
If you give me time, but I know about half of them left probably after the election before January 6th. So I definitely know it was not 18.
Okay, so how many were there if people left between November and January? How many were there prior to this amount of people leaving all in the last month after your election? I was told that there was 18.
But he's.
All right, nevertheless, okay, so if 18, I don't know what an ideal number is. I'm not an attorney, I don't work in the DA's office, and so, but if 18 was an ideal number, that's 12, counting yourself, is about 2/3 of that number. So let me just ask you this. Do you feel that at 12, that you have enough DAs, ADAs in your department to effectively prosecute cases?
Have you seen any cases that have been an issue?
No, I'm not asking that. I'm just saying, does that enough, do you have enough TAs or ADAs in your department to effectively prosecute cases?
Yes, and we've been doing it since January 6th. And I mean, would I want 50 prosecutors? I'll take 50 prosecutors. Total in all after October 6th, the slots we're gonna have is 21 and a half, including myself. And that's because we got 2.5 new positions by the legislator. We have 3 individuals who are starting in October. I'm waiting for 1 individual to graduate, and she'll start in May. I think she's gonna be great. We have another individual that we interviewed today, and he's gonna decide whether or not to start this Monday or to start 2 weeks from now. So overall, we have 5 individuals coming on those 12 that you have. And so we'll probably have 15 by the end of October, prosecutors. And I've been taking a lot of caseload. I've been in court every day. I go to intake court, I go to prelims. I've been handling some of the branches and taking cases myself. So, I mean, I get here like around 6:30 every morning, except the last.
I'm just trying to establish who's in.
Yeah, I mean, but like, I mean, you made a big deal about, my office being, so short-staffed and cases being delayed. But yet you never once asked me or talked to me about certain cases that are,
I
you know.
I never said that.
To the track.
I never said that. I'm just trying to find out how many you have. So you have 12 and you have 5 coming by October. Is that
Correct. So
Okay.
let me just, so you asked if we could adequately prosecute. So, I came in January 6th. Is David Colette here? No, WGTD's not here?
He's probably
Um,
watching.
He's what?
He's probably watching.
Oh, he's watching. So, what was the headline? Kenosha County elects inexperienced DA. So, since I came in, I've had 4 jury trials, since I came in. So hopefully he doesn't indicate that I'm no longer inexperienced. First jury trial that I had was an armed robbery by an individual by the name of Dallas Bagwell. This case was from 2024. 2021, he committed an armed robbery at Quick Trip. Your buddy and my predecessor, Mike Gravely's administration dismissed that armed robbery. 2024, then he goes into Walgreens on the north side and he shows a gun to the cashier and takes money from her and stuff like that. I don't want that in our community. Convicted him, sent him to prison. He got 12 years. I asked for 20, he got 12. Myron Bowie attempted homicide case. That trial, we got a conviction under 30 minutes. Someone said that's 45 minutes on that one. Someone said that was a new record in the office. One of the older prosecutors said that. Whether it was or not, I don't know. But that individual dumped alcohol or rubbing alcohol on his girlfriend and set her on fire. That case happened in 2023. That case got delayed. Not under my administration, my previous administration. It was supposed to go to trial in October or November of last year. I wasn't here. I was in the DA's office. And the DA's office at the time didn't turn over discovery, so the case had a delay to January 6th. The two prosecutors who were on that case, one was my opponent, the other one was another ADA by the name of Emily Gertner, left the office. Emily Gertner told me she was going to stay, and next thing you know, she leaves the office. January 6th is my first day, and I have this case on my radar. We were able to change the date to April. One of the witnesses in April was not able to attend due to the fact that some health issues. So we scheduled this case for January 15th, I believe. January 15th, the victim has to have procedures due to this incident. They wanted to schedule it off further out. I said, no, let's move it further. Let's move it closer. So we moved it to January 9th, I believe. So we moved it a week earlier because I knew this case was lingering and I wanted to resolve it. And we convicted him. And I believe he got like 95 years. So that's one example. Another one is a serial bank robber who just kept getting his cases delayed. And we were able to convict the bank robber. One of my ADAs also handled a serious sexual assault on a child. That individual got about 115 years in prison, never going to come out again. Saves from your county board of buying a house that's overpriced and trying to house their sex offenders, as he's going to probably die in prison. So we've had trials and we had success on those trials. So we've been moving these cases and making sure that we get results on these. Another thing my administration has been doing is cracking down on illegal aliens committing crimes here in Kenosha County. There's several individuals who came from Chicago, many of them Venezuelan nationals. A lot of them had transnational gang ties. A lot of them trended Uruguay. We cracked down on a lot of them. Got high cash bonds, got felony convictions, made sure that we got jail more than 6 months because that prevents them from staying in the country, and ensure that they had ICE detainers and making sure that ICE came and took them. We see in ICE, the reason I mention ICE, because ICE is in Chicago right now. ICE is cleaning up Chicago, and it's about time. ICE doesn't have to come to Kenosha County because we took care of that already. They come, I'll cooperate with them, but so my office is focused on illegal aliens committing crimes and ensuring that we get ICE holds on them. So we've been working and we've been trying to keep this community safe. Is my office perfect? No, it's not perfect, but no one is. But we've been trying to work hard. So yes, the question to your answer is yes. 12, we can prosecute cases and we have been doing it. Will we like more? Of course. And more individuals are coming.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know. I just wanted to get a definitive number of how many people are in the district attorney's office.
Yeah, and your stuff here, and I give it.
And
So
that
is
was the
that-
main thing.
Do you have more questions?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Okay. Are there any other questions by the committee?
I just have one. So within, we talked about numbers and stuff and that's fine, but what about like experience and stuff like that? How is the blend of experience that you have within your group?
So, the deputy DA, she has 23 years of experience. She should be the sexual assault prosecutor. Did we lose experienced attorneys? Yes, we did. That was just part of it. We do have some new ones out of law school that, came in. One of the individuals that's starting next month has 10 years experience as an attorney, 1 year experience as a prosecutor, but I'm not sure how, how that transition once he starts in December. Another one comes from a different county. He probably has maybe like 6 or 7 months as a prosecutor experience. And then we have some, straight out of law school. So, and honestly, if we're gonna recruit DAs, they're probably gonna come straight out of law school. And in a way, train them the way that, our policies are consistent with our office policies and.
And it's probably a challenge because of what you were talking about before with the pay grade, right? So it's, because it's a pretty flat line as far as the public defenders, the prosecutors go. It's hard to get the seasoned people unless their hearts in it, and that's what they want to be doing. Is that?
That's the hardest part, and that's the biggest challenge is,
Yeah. And that's all controlled by the state.
that's all controlled by the state.
So you don't have any say in it. We don't have any say in it. It's.
I could ask the state if they would consider increasing it. Sometimes they'll do it. Majority of the times they'll say no. I've been successful on one hire, but that's because that individual was coming from a different state and that individual had experience as a prosecutor. So they were able to match the pay that she was coming in. But as other DAs come in from other counties, they're not going to raise the pay.
Sure.
Someone out of law school, if I ask to raise the pay, they're not going to want to. I mean,
Is there anything that we can do as a committee to help in that regard at all? Help you?
as far as the pay with them, I don't believe so because you guys control the county dollars, not the state
Right.
dollars.
Yeah.
So it depends how strong of a
I
lobby.
guess maybe more on a general note, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we're asking a lot of questions and.
Well, I'd say maybe an
Back and
agenda,
forth and just, what can
depending
we do to
on
help you?
how strong of a lobby you have to your state legislator then, and then to put pressure on the DOA to increase some of the pay.
Mhm.
That's probably what you guys can do.
Okay. Any other questions though? Any other committee members?
I got a question.
Yes.
Did the state granted 2.5 additional ADAs? When does that kick in already?
I think it kicks in October 6th,
Okay,
whatever the pay period is.
alright. And did that come with a raise to the staff? So
There,
what they're
there's
getting now is-
there technically was the raise hit. And I'm not on their pay period, so it
But it's 21.5, you said, right?
21.5 is our total.
Okay.
What do you have support staff now per to assist the ADAs? What is it looking like now? What is your support staff provided by the county?
Let me just get, so the pay period is October 6th. I think that hit September 8th, if I'm correct. Don't mark me on that, but I know recently they got a bump in pay. As to support staff, we currently just hired a victim witness person. We had a lot of applications for it. The paralegal vacancies we had, we got a lot of applications for those also. So support staff, filling those positions it's no issue. Right now we're, full staffed on paralegals come Monday and full staff on victim witness come Monday. We have 6 victim witness. We could obviously use one more. But we, are full staff with that and same thing with the paralegals.
And I won't be here for the budget meeting, but
We're gonna be at.
But you can review
for
it.
the new budget, was it included to accommodate for the additional ADAs now?
We
support
asked for it, yes.
Okay. Alright. That was the only question, cause I know I was looking at the state, what the state put out a couple months ago about the addition to the ADAs and all that kind of stuff, but, other than that, thank you. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thanks for having me.
you're doing a harder job than you need to, especially with all the added negativity, but thank you.
Anything else, Supervisor?
I'm good.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you probably in February. But we look forward to going over your proposed budget, seeing what we can do to help the DA's office. And like I said, food and drink will be provided on October 15th. And then we'll possibly see you back in February, and then we'll just talk about where we're at with the budget. And if you'd like to give an informal update, that would be wonderful.
So just October 15th is the budget meeting, correct?
Yes, it's a Wednesday night. I
Okay,
believe you said you could make that
Yeah.
evening.
and that's here, right?
Yes, in this room. Thank you again for
All
coming
right, thank
tonight
you.
and being so transparent. Really appreciate it.
All right, thank you. And if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out to me if you have any you need any clarifications of how many people are in our office, especially when I started. Feel free to email me,
Okay,
including yourself, Mr. Frankel. Always feel free, and I'm always transparent. And I'll send you the numbers that we have, and so that way we're on the same page and the public's not misled.
thank you, and I hope you feel better.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have the report on the successor agreement with Kenosha County Deputy Sheriff's Union and Human Resources.
Oh.
When you were here, there's nobody.
Thank you, Director Tappa.
You're welcome. I have handouts. So, Claire Tappa, Director of Human Resources. This evening, we wanted to report on our tentative agreement with the Kenosha County Deputy Sheriff's Union. This will be brought through the budget process for action, but we thought tonight I would just report on it. That way it doesn't kind of get buried in the whole budget. And give you a chance to understand what the tentative agreement is all about. So what you have in front of you is.
I'm sorry, you have to leave the door open. That's required.
Yeah.
I love the crack.
I know, just, yeah, it's gotta be able to work. That's good. Sorry.
So the top page is kind of an executive summary, if you will. And then what's attached are the red line provisions that were changed. And I'll have those up on the screen as well. So you can have as much detail as you'd like. I can go through each of these provisions and take it from there.
What's probably the biggest change in the agreement from the previous agreement?
So obviously wages.
Okay,
We've agreed to an additional vacation day for certain tiers. In terms of financial provisions, those are really the most significant.
kind of hard to go over it. So service has changed with regard to vacations. They're given one additional day each.
So Brianna, could you scroll to the section of that document?
What page?
It would be page 3.
Things down.
There you go. So if you see, you can see there the red line version. So the black font is existing language. And then, so for those of 4 years or more, they would get 14 days up from 13, 7 years or more, 18 days up from 17, etc. That answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
So then it looks like the selection process is the largest change.
Well, that's the most verbiage, if you will. It's really about revamping what they call an auction process. So
Okay,
people put in their picks and they have a certain amount of time. It just makes it a more efficient and clearer process. And again, it was agreed to. I think everyone appreciates it.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So how does this impact the overall budget then, dollars?
Well, it will certainly from a salary perspective. I'm sorry, I did not come here to talk about the
I
budget
understand that, yeah,
figures, so
yeah,
I'm not prepared to answer that.
okay. So it's basically for us to review and understand what's been agreed to. And then when we get to the budget, we'll have a better understanding of why wages have increased. Okay,
Yes.
okay. Yeah, I think we'll need some time, other than the meeting, to go through this. Does anybody have any questions just perusing the document?
I have a question without perusing the document.
Yeah,
And maybe it's obvious, but I don't know. When we talk about the sheriff's staff, is this for the jail staff as well as the patrol officers?
No, it's just
Just,
sworn deputies and detectives.
okay.
Doesn't include any supervisors or anybody like that.
No.
I don't-
not command
Do you guys
staff.
have a supervisors association
We do not.
like the city does now?
We do not, but we have
A Me Too clause?
position in the civil service division that
Hearing from the DA prior to this about the challenges of finding employees in the market, which I live in too. Is the union the same union that represents staff in other counties, or is this a union specific to this county, do you know?
well, this is specific, the bargaining unit is specific to them, but it's the Wisconsin Professional Police Association.
Right. So there is some reference to comparability to other counties, right? I mean, it's obviously they're familiar if they're tied to that, so, okay, thank you.
yes.
So on this issue of the vacation days, have you calculated by giving these individuals an additional day, will that require increasing their staff to accommodate for those days now that their days off? So who's,
It
you
does,
understand my question?
yes, it does result in additional costs because there's generally overtime. But we have to have the staff on the road. So.
I'm asking, will we need more staff on the sheriff's department?
No, not up, no, doesn't result in up staff.
I'm not sure. I think I would like to look into this, the data on this number of deputies, do some calculation to see if in fact that what you're saying is correct.
So we pay careful attention to how many staff are allowed to take off on vacation at a time, and we address that through scheduling and ensuring that we have enough people on the road.
Just seems to me that go from 13 to 14, 17 to 18, and if you put those numbers period of a year across the entire department, that means there it becomes an issue of managing number of people doing the job and working, right? So I'm just curious, my analytical mind is telling me we should look into that, see if that might require an additional deputies. Yeah, potentially. And so I just want to see the data on that.
But we work closely with command staff as we negotiate this and particularly those who have to schedule.
Yeah.
And make sure that these shifts are covered. So in our analysis, it does not result in the need to add additional staff to cover these hours.
I was gonna say, in general, I'm sure you have minimum staffing. And just because you're giving extra days, doesn't mean that that person gets off that day. I mean, I don't, right? I
Right.
mean, it's not like it's guaranteed that, you know, if I want the day off, if we're already at minimum staffing, I'm not gonna get the day off. Right, necessarily for overtime even. I mean,
Well,
certainly I
the
guess.
selection process would
Exactly.
play into that, and that's why it's spelled out the way it is, yeah.
Very important.
So,
I mean,
but the days themselves shouldn't create a need for more bodies or overtime. It's the staffing and making sure the command staff is following it correctly, I think.
Yes, basically.
What are the percentages for wage increases here?
So that you'll find on the second page or the last page of the other document. For the first year, at the beginning of the year, it's 3%. Yeah, Brian, if you want to go to the end of that document.
Bias went to the blue bank and get.
I just do it. But I got it.
All together?
All the way to the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Very good. Okay. So, you'll see there at the beginning of 2026, it's generally a 3%, but we are, increasing that a little higher in some of the earlier steps because we are looking to make that minimum rate of pay, that higher in rate, a little higher and more competitive. So, it does vary a bit in that first, increase. And those percentages are next to the figure in blue there. I wanted to illustrate that for you so you could see how that plays out. Beyond that, mid-year, first year is another 1.5%. And then for the next 2 years, it's 2.25% at the start and 1.75% at mid-year.
If I'm reading that correctly, is the 3350, the 4.5% of the 3205 or
Correct.
not? Okay. But then the $34 is another 1.5%,
Correct.
50 cents is all. Maybe that's right. Just seems a little low there, but all right. But the 3350, the 35 and the 37 are the 4.5, 4 and 4.8. Right, I just want to make sure I'm reading that correctly. So the numbers under the 3% where you have the blue, those numbers are actually the blue number.
So
So for 60 months, for example, that 4290 is 3.4%, right?
So generally, this reflects 3%, with the exception of these figures.
Yep.
Okay, so that's the percentage there. That's just for this first increase. Beyond that, this is 1.5, 2.25, 1.75. Just trying to make it easier to.
And can I just ask why the dates are
It has to
one
do with, it has to do with start of the
pay,
weeks.
payroll or something? Okay, just bizarre.
Yeah, so the raises are every 6 months.
Pretty much.
What are the, we just did a class and comp analysis study. How does this compare with what, or is this,
Well,
did
we-
that guide this process?
We look at deputy wages separately.
Okay.
And we look at specific comparables, and this gets us more competitive. And it was because of that that we felt the need to get that increase to that starting rate a bit higher.
So we will see during the budget process, an increase in wages, and this is just a precursor so that we're more aware of why there's such increases.
Right. Hopefully we'll make your evening a little shorter.
Yeah.
But
Does anybody have any questions or comments?
I will just say, so those of you that are perusing it, the city has settled with their PD 2.5, 3 and so that's the wages that we're going to say. I don't know where they compare to starting wages for deputies, but that's the increase that the city would be
Do we know the comparables,
They're higher,
the KPD?
yes. But this gets us more competitive.
Okay,
I got a question.
Mhm.
So this is for the contract that's coming up.
Right, this would be, so, 3-year, 26, 27, 28.
And even with the new numbers, it's still gonna be behind. I understand it's competitive, but it's not there.
No, we won't be at KPD, but, we have other things.
Yeah.
It's a very desirable agency to be a part of.
Mhm.
More things.
And we
The
do
way I
have
see
the
it.
support, so we do have.
Yeah.
Their support. Hey, anybody else? I would
I
enter,
presume there's a TA on this, right?
Yes,
Because it's now public record since you handed it out today. Okay.
anybody else?
it's just subject to county board approval.
Understood.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Supervisor Brady and Supervisor Morrissey, thank you very much. We are adjourned.
Thank
Thank you.